Hello and welcome to my C++ tutorials. Today I'll be teaching you the basics of C++, just the very basics, just enough to get a program up and running. Every program is built off of functions, and functions are what run your program's code. Um, every program or every C++ program is going to call the main function to begin with. So we got to create the main function, and when we declare the main function, we gotta use a specifier. Um, we have to specify it as an integer function because it's going to return an integer back to the program, which will tell us whether our program had an error or not. And if it didn't have an error, it'll return 0. So we'll do that right now. Int main, the main function, and in these parentheses, we are able to put we're able to put stuff that will be passed to the function. They're called parameters. Parameters are things that will be used in the function, but for right now we're not going to put anything in there because we're just learning the basics, and I might teach you later what we can put in there, but it's nothing too important for right now. And then every function is going to have the code inside of it contained in the two brackets that I just put. And every function that is of a type like integer or a floating point number or like a boolean, which is like true or false, so it'll pass true or it'll return true or false, um, will return a number or true or false, which true is being 0, and then false would be every other number. So return 0, meaning there was no errors and it returned correctly, or it finished correctly, no errors. And that'll work. I mean, that's a C++ program right there. That's going to work 100%. Nothing's going to go wrong. And if you're using Microsoft Visual C++ to run the program, you can go into build, and then you can build the solution. And it'll even show you that at the bottom, I guess I'm not recording that part of the screen, but there's a part that says build, and then it'll say 1 succeeded, 0 failed, 0 up to date, and 0 skipped. That means our program succeeded and we can go ahead and run it. So we go to debug and start debugging. Now there are shortcuts on that, yeah, there's shortcuts on that. So like I can press F7 to build it, and then I can press F5 to run the debugger, which is gonna just show me what my program does, which right now, if you can see it, just comes up with a blank black window, which I'll show you how to keep that window up so you can look at the code you write. Now in C++, to get writing on the screen, they have to include a file. So we use pound include, and we include a file called in-out-stream, and that just allows us to get input or to get output on the screen and to give input to the screen. So we can make things like a calculator like 5 plus 5 and stuff just using this file iostream. And to access the output function, we have to access a namespace. A namespace is a container, or a namespace contains certain code. Um, so this code is held in the namespace called standard std, and to access things in the standard namespace, you got to put two colons and then access, and then put what you're going to access. So we want to access a function, or you want to access a member of the standard namespace called cout, and after you put that, you're going to put two less than signs to output something to the screen. And what you're going to output will, if you're going to output text, for right now, we're just going to use two quotation marks and put the text, and we'll just put hello world for the text we're going to output. And after we output text, we're going to want to get the program to give us time to look at what we have. So we're going to make it so you have to press enter to exit the program. So in order to do that, we have to access something from the standard namespace again, and this time it's going to be cin. So cin for input dot get, and that's just going to get a character. So when we run the program, we can basically run, or when we run it, basically to close it, we're just going to put a character in here and press enter, and that standard cin.get is going to get that character. But since we're not assigning it to anything, it doesn't matter. So really all we have to do is press enter and it'll just end because right after it is this return 0. Now one thing to remember when you're programming is you have to put the semicolon after every line of code, which excludes like the brackets and functions and the include stuff. Um, so that's basics of C++. This is how you write a basic program. This does nothing but output text. In later tutorials, I'll show you the main or the main fundamental of C++. It's called object orientation, and that's where we put everything into objects. Objects are like your microwave where you cook things, or your keyboard where you type on your computer. It's just objects are things that do things in your program. Like an object could access certain data from a file, and then the next object could take the data from the file and use it to output employees' names or something. Or if you're, because I do game development all the time, you could take the file and then output like a model from it. Like you could read model coordinate, like the points from a model file, and then output it on the screen. And objects are just useful. It's useful to use objects because they can be reused over and over again, and objects can have many uses. So I'll be trying to teach you what exactly object orientation is in my next tutorials. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.